Torches, you don't throw it out.
Solid. Oh, my, what a...
Call me a giant or call me a 49er. Call me a warrior, cause I follow a code of honor.
What is up, guys? It's your boy FightNightsFinest, the Sulfate commentator, bringing you guys another head-to-head gameplay for Fight Night Champion on the PlayStation 3. And you see the message from my opponent. He said, you must be good. And the reason he says this is because look who I'm using. I'm using a guy nobody's probably posted a gameplay with online. A guy called Anthony Medina. And this guy is a beast. Well, that's if you know how to use him right. Let me tell you a bit about him. He's not a natural southpaw. As you see here, I just switched his stance. Philly shell. He's a jabber. With boxers who are jabbers, you got to be exceptionally skilled defensively and be able to pick your shots well. Pick your shots without being hidden. But, you know, he does have one annoying weakness that I found a way to overcome it, which will bring us to today's topic. But this weakness is he carries the Roy Jones Jr. style. And I said, man, this guy's a really, really good boxer, and I don't want to go do something cheesy, like, I don't know, maybe switch my trunks up and switch the style of my boxers' punches, and, you know, like some of these tryhards do online. But I said I need to come out with a solution to figure out how I can use this guy effectively. Which brings us to today's topic, and that is stick versus button combinations. And I'm gonna talk about the advantage of each. Well, the advantage of the stick that it has over the buttons. This is the basic control scheme that everybody pretty much uses on Fight Night Champion. Buttons in order to throw jab straights and hooks, and they use the right stick in order to throw uppercuts and maybe a few special punches in there now and again. This is also going to explain to you guys why the side step right uppercut is so damn powerful. Now, let's start with the basics, the control scheme. The basic control scheme of the game, the easy version, is the button scheme. Now, the reason that is because the stick is a lot more complicated. It has way more punches that you can throw out of them. But this is the button scheme. You got square to jab, triangle to straight, X and circles are hooks, left and right hooks. And you press square and X to throw uppercuts. But nobody in their God-given right mind will throw uppercuts using the buttons, which will explain the stick. Everybody uses the stick pretty much in order to throw uppercuts. Now you're saying, what does that have to do with why the side step right uppercut spam is so powerful? Well, let me break it down to you. I'll go over the control scheme first. The stick is the advanced control scheme of the game. And just like in UFC and every other game, there's usually a basic and an advanced control scheme. The stick happens to be that for Fight Night Champion. And if you use the advanced control scheme, one, you get a few advantages that you don't get when using the basic control scheme. And for that, on Fight Night Champion, you get these advantages for using the stick. One, you get faster punches. Now, maybe most of you haven't noticed the difference because of how hard it is to actually use the stick. But when you use the stick, your punches are 2 times faster. I don't know the exact number on it or exact stat of how fast it is between the stick and the button. But I'll tell you this, it's definitely faster. When you throw a hook with the stick, it is definitely, you can see the difference in the speed. I conducted a test on this with my buddy JC, King of Kings. And we did this in the middle of a 15-round fight in the middleweight division, just practicing, no homo. And during this practice fight, you know, I found out I was using Medina and he picked Danny Jacobs. Now, the reason I went to the stick is because I do know that the flare straight isn't the same thing in the Roy Jones Jr. straight. So I started to use the flare straight and then try to use the stick from that version on. And what we realized is, one, is faster. And this gets you to the first, advantage that you get from using the stick. Faster speed, more punches that you can possibly throw from it, And then last but not least, it's definitely more accurate. Now I feel between the buttons and the sticks there is a tendency of accuracy between each punch. Now with the stick, I feel the jab is less accurate than it is with the buttons. Now that's just a feel thing. There was no test conducted on that. But if you look at the difference between the hooks on the buttons and the stick, it's two different things. One, the speed, and three, the sound that comes. How I go from 1 to 3? There's 3 differences between it. It depends on the punch. Let's start with the hooks, because that's why I found the biggest difference. There's 3 differences. You get a difference in noise, sound, and accuracy. The hook with the stick is 20 times more accurate than it is with the button, and it gets there faster. Now, I know what you guys are saying, what does noise have to do with this? Well, I'll explain that as well. Certain sounds let you know if a punch was blocked, split through the guard, or if it was partial, or if you hit your opponent clean. If you're able to decipher these sounds by just using the hook on the stick, you'll hear that 9 times out of 10 is either splitting the guard or it's landing clean on your opponent. It doesn't have the usual block sound that you get from whenever you just throw out a normal hook. And with the test that I was talking about earlier with JC King of Kings is, I stood still in the ring and he threw 10 hooks with the buttons. One thing I noticed is that you get a lot more tired throwing punches with the buttons than you do with the stick. That's another advantage to it. But he was able to throw more consecutive hooks, just one right hook consecutively, more times with the stick than he was able to do with the buttons without getting tired as fast. That's another secret advantage of using the advanced control scheme, which is known as the stick. So through that, you gain that one advantage as we put him down with a hook. You know, what a coincidence right there. But then when we did it with the button, what we noticed is that one was usually the blocking sound that you get whenever your fighter blocks punches when you use the button. You didn't get the same accuracy level because it wasn't splitting the guard like it normally would when you throw with a stick. So that's the advantage. There's another advantage that you get from just using the stick. You get an accuracy bonus, speed bonus. I'll get to the damage bonus in a second, and a stamina bonus. Now the stick is hard. It's hard to put together combinations and all these different things, but if you look at the advantages that it brings to you, the speed and everything else, there's no reason that, you know, we shouldn't be fighting without the stick, because it gives you guys all these different advantages. And I didn't know this until just now. This is my first gameplay online trying to use the stick versus the buttons, and I was quite happy with the result. Now I said I'll talk about damage, and the damage seems to be more significant when you use the stick than when you use the buttons. This was also conducted in a test by myself in the Fight Now mode, and you guys can feel free to go ahead and check this out by yourselves. But in Fight Now mode, when you just throw those type of punches, the speed, I guess, I can't really explain it, it's just that it hits harder. Also, you can choose to do different types of punches. Instead of just throwing an uppercut, you can do something, you can throw a punch that does more damage, which would be a hooker cut. Instead of throwing a hook, you do an overhand hook, which does more damage. Those type of punches are, you know, are special because it's something you can't perform with the button, and therefore you're rewarded for it. Now, the reason I say you guys should use the stick is just think about it. If it does more damage and it's faster, one, you'll have more chances to land and penetrate through that almost seemingly impossible auto block. And three, I did it again. And two, so we put him down on the canvas for the second time. And two, you guys can throw your combinations now with more fluency. It moves faster and therefore has a better chance of penetrating the guard. Now think about what you can do to your basic and normal combos. I thought about this for myself. Instead of throwing a right uppercut left hook, I could throw a hooker cut overhand hook. and that will increase the normal damage that I do with my regular combo and take it to the next level. And also, when you throw this type of punches, they just seem faster than a regular uppercut. That means it will take less time to get to your opponent, which means you can move in and hit your opponent quick and then dance right back on the outside or whatever your combination might be. So if you got that speed advantage plus a damage bonus, you can create more counters and more damage opportunities on your opponent than what you can do regularly. So there's so many advantages that you get from using the stick scheme versus using the regular punch scheme with the buttons and then uppercuts. Anybody out there who's using the stick will tell you they definitely have an advantage, or who's mastered the stick definitely has an advantage over you guys. Now, I know it took me a while to explain all that, but this is how it relates back to the sidestep right uppercut and why it's so powerful. If you're using an advanced control scheme, as I stated before, you're gonna want to be rewarded. The game wants to reward you for using the the stick. So it's not that the sidestep right uppercut is so powerful. Is they're using the stick. If you look at it, 9 times out of 10, and you're looking at an opponent who uses the buttons and the stick combination scheme, look at the accuracy, the punch accuracy at the end of the fight. Notice how the right uppercut is usually their most accurate punch. Not always their most throwing, but it's always, or it's close to being, their most accurate punch. And that's because the game is honestly just rewarding you for using the advanced control scheme. Now, you can use a sidestep move with whatever punch you want, whether it's a sidestep overhand hook, whether, I wouldn't recommend the jab, but whether it's a sidestep straight. If you use any type of sidestep move with a stick punch thrown afterwards, you get that same level of accuracy. The sidestep right uppercut spam is so powerful because it's the only button or only punch that's being used with the advanced control scheme, which is why it lands so often, which is why it does, it usually get those counters. But like I said, go ahead and try it for yourselves. Do the sidestep left hook or sidestep right hook using the stick, and notice how you get the same production out of that punch that you'll get if you use a sidestep right uppercut. I'm telling you, if you guys try it out, you won't be disappointed. Now, I've been rambling on about the stick and its advantages, and its advantages over the buttons, but I think in order for you to have the ultimate combinations between things, you need to use the flare straight, the uppercuts, the overhands, and the hooks all on the stick. But I recommend that you use the jab on using the buttons with the square or triangle, whatever, depending on what stance you're fighting on. Now, I know most of you guys use the same control scheme that I do with the buttons and stick for the uppercuts. Well, not me anymore, but you might be wondering, how do I train in order to be able to do that? Well, it's pretty simple. Go to the heavy bag combo training game and practice that before you do anything else. And I say this why. This is the only useful training game because it can actually teach you how to fight with the stick. It's going to bring up these random commands that it's going to want you to implement into this. But before I continue oh my god, excuse me. But before I continue on further, make sure under training games in your control scheme that you have the stick, the full spectrum punch control as your training game tool. So this way, when you're punching, it's not coming up with the button commands, it's coming up with the stick commands. Practice throwing those type of punches that they give you, and then you'll be able to throw all the other type of punches through your own practice. So you'll get down uppercuts, hooks, jabs, and straights, how to throw 1-2s, a quick tip for that. Curve the top of the analog stick, and you'll be able to throw 1-2s pretty easy. Like if you flick it in the jab direction, simply move it over to the right and you throw the straight. It's small tips like that that will help you guys get better. But after you do the heavy bag combo training, to do it and don't get frustrated and do not press the buttons. Use the stick. Once you do that, go over to fight now mode and practice your single punch combinations first. Whether if you're a jabber like myself, practice the jab all around. Just throw the jab out there. It will also teach you the distance and stuff and on how to throw the jab. Afterwards, move on to your next set of combinations, which would be your 2-punch combinations. For me, it would be like the 1-2s, the jab straight to the body, jab to the body, straight to the head, jab to the body, straight to the jab to the head, straight to the body. Right uppercut, left hook, left uppercut, right hook. Then, you know, after you master those 2-punch combinations, you know, double hooks, all those things, get fancy with them. For me, I have the right uppercut, left hook. Switch it up. Use a right uppercut, overhand hook. Use a left uppercut, overhand right hook. You know, then switch it up even more. Right rip, bolo, hooker cut, whatever you want to call it. Use that, and then use a regular hook. Switch your combinations up. It will help you get a better set of 2-punch combinations. And then from there, I think you get the point. You go to your 3-punch combinations. See how you can make that better with a jab, flare straight to the head, jab, flare straight to the body, and then an overhand left hook or left hook. That would be the inside fighter neutralizer, which is jab straight to the body, left hook to the head or to the head or body. You know, and then go to your 4-punch combinations, your 5-punch combinations, and so on. And then for a final test, fight the computer on the greatest of all time, using nothing but the stick in all your combinations. And then once you're able to beat them as you would on a, you know, with a normal fighter, then try it out online and see how it works for you. And remember to keep practicing. That's the key to becoming better. Hope you guys enjoyed this commentary and these tips and, you know, tricks. Yeah, remember to like, comment, and subscribe only if you enjoyed and you would like to see further content from me. This is your boy FightNightsFinest, the Sulfur Commentator, signing off.